really good. Just happy to be back training and just happy to get a bit continuity in my life again and be able to work towards something. So all good.
No, cool. I mean, I'm loving your wallpaper, by the way.
I've gone for the full unicorn bedroom. So I've got the curtains.
Yeah.
Full princess bedroom.
Nice.
So, yeah, lovely charm.
Nice. I mean, for anybody who don't know, you're a huge Disney fan.
I am a very big Disney fan. Got me Winnie the Pooh cushion. Yeah, there's plenty Disney things over there on my dressing table, but I'll not walk over to get them.
No.
I'm just focused on the boxing today.
Yeah, that's the one. Although, if anybody's got any Disney stuff, I'll give them your address. They can send it over.
Anyone listening from America, anything unique, anything Disney, just send it over.
Yeah, damn right.
Boxing gloves.
It's what you've been doing over like the last 2 months where you're training. You've been doing like road work and little bits and bobs and.
Yeah, so been doing plenty strength work, plenty road work, plenty sprints just down the track, doing 400-meter sprints, 200-meter sprints, 100-meter sprints, few hill sprints. Just to be honest, after I took up boxing 5 years ago, I've been taking it serious for 3 years. So when I got into the England squad and when our Mark was looking for fights pretty much, for a solid 3.5, 4 years. So I've been in a camp for pretty much, I'd say 3.5 years with the odd weekend away or the odd week away. But even still, like the whole drinking and stuff stopped. So for me, this has been not a blessing as such, but it's allowed us to find myself again and find me love for the sport and realise, what I want out of it. And because it become a chore, it become, I was waking up for training and it become to the point where I was just like, do I really, really want to be doing this for the next 15 years of my life? And it did become like a chore, but now I found that love again. I found that desire. I've set myself, smart targets of where I want to be in the next year, 2 years, and it's been good. It's been really good to have that little break from the intense training and the intense camps, and just allow my body just to reset itself and find itself again. So I've enjoyed it as well as it's been frustrating. Don't get us wrong, I've missed everything about boxing, but at the same time, I've enjoyed that little sort of 2 month sort of not a break from it, but break from the spar and a break from the pads, a break from the it's just been a little bit of a setback, but for me, I think it's going to do us the world of good moving forward. I've allowed my body to have that and do that.
Mm. So what have you been doing for like weights and that kind of thing? Do you have weights at home? Do you have a punching bag at home, heavy bag, and?
Yeah, I haven't got a punching bag. I've got one of them slam men things, the sort of men, the shaped punch bag things, which you fill up with sand. So I've just been working on footwork and working around rather than big heavy shots, but just strength work. I've got plenty barbells, dumbbells. That Mark was fortunate. I was fortunate enough. Mark allowed us to learn some weights from the gym. So I've just been doing, jumping squats and everything that we would do within the gym. Maybe it's just not as heavy, higher reps, more reps. I'm sitting in at 115 kilo, and I normally fight at 111. And to be honest, I've Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I boxed this week is because we're allowed back to the gym. So I was hitting the bag, and my fitness hasn't really dropped on the road, so it'll be interesting once pads start again and sparring to see where I'm at, because I probably like to sit around about this weight, because I think when I was 109 and 111, I think I might have been a little bit too light. Now I'm around about 115. I'll probably get around about 113 once camp starts again, and then maybe sit around there and see how my fitness is, see how I perform sparring at that weight, and just it's just about trial and error, isn't it? It's getting the right sort of what's good for you and what's good for your body.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. So when you looking to get back into sparring, is there any kind of news when you're going to be sparring again?
No, we haven't really heard anything. I mean, I had a message off Nathan Gorman on Instagram the other day saying once everything slows down, would I be interested to go down there where he's training? I'm sure I would be able to get on to Bacoli, Dave Allen. There's plenty. Mark's got his connections, and I've got my connections, and I think together we'll be able to find sparring. So as soon as we get a date, I think we'll be able to find sparring. Everyone's in the same boat. Everybody's going to want sparring, because you can do as much work as you want on the pads and the bags and on the ground, but there's nothing replicates sparring for fitness, nothing. And that's the only thing that's sport specific and realistic to what you do. So, I can run 10 mile in an hour if I wanted, but it's not going to replicate the sparring. It's not going to make us fit, So, going forward, that's what we know we need. We know that's the most important thing, and we're not short for choices. So once things get back to a little bit normality and dates start getting confirmed, Newcastle's just been confirmed for October, so Wardley and Vallily will be on that, so no doubt I'll be sparring Vallily for that in due course. And hopefully, as I say, hopefully Joshua and Povetkin, when their day gets confirmed, hopefully I can get some stuff with Anthony. Hopefully Bacoli can sort that out for us. So, but just take each day as it comes, and I just need to get back on the bags and the pads and work my way up to six rounds, and then trying up at a 10. And I don't want to run before I can walk, and push myself in, risk causing injury for no benefit of my own.
No, that's very true. That's very true. So you're hoping to be on the cause I think is it MTK? They're doing a show, aren't they, soon? And the Matchroom one as well, October. You hoping to be on both of them?
Well, ideally, again, it's obviously it's not for me to say. That's down to Mark to be able to organise, and Mark's got his connections, and hopefully he can organise that. But again, there's going to be. It's not just me. There's thousands and thousands of people who are going to be wanting to be on the show, and what makes me different and unique to any other heavyweight is what I've got to try and work on. Do you know what I mean? And why get me? Why over somebody else? And I've got to have a selling point for myself. So I need to which is why me, Mark, and Giuseppe have been working on not being the ordinary 6'7" heavyweight where, robotic and coming in and just heavy punches every time. That's why for me, I'm a lot more elusive. I'm a lot lighter on my feet than you'd sort of somebody see a heavyweight at 6'7". I'm different to what other heavyweights are around at my sort of weight, height, and stamp. So I just need to have a selling point and be that little bit different to everyone else out there, and show that it should pick me for the show and not somebody else. But it's just, it's a hope and what have you, but it's down to Mark really, that side of things as my manager.
Right. I mean, with sparring, I said it before, you're probably ideal sparring for Anthony Joshua as he prepares for Pulev, because of the jab and that.
Yeah. like I say, if I can get that, it'll be fantastic. And there's been a few comments where, I mean, when you made that poster and I shared it, and I was getting comments like he'll punch your face in and you've got no chance. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, I'm on par with Anthony, or because there's no way am I even in any sort of his level yet. But at the same time, I'm only going to learn. I'm only going to gain things from it. So for me, it's a no-brainer why I wouldn't want it. And it's personally, is it something that I wouldn't just want to be part of the camp where it would be, because I've been part of camps where I would jump in for a round and then the next person would jump in for a round and then the next person, and there would want fresh people in all the time. And I was sparring Kash Ali for David Price, and it was a little bit of an eye opener for me to how the pros spar, and they always want fresh fit people in. And for me, I'm not gaining anything out of that because I'm coming out after a round and 2 rounds, and I wouldn't be traveling to London for that. I wouldn't be traveling down to the gym he was training for, something like that. I'd want to be a part of it where I'd be sparring 6 rounds, I'd be sparring 8 rounds, so I can prove myself to match me, prove myself to Anthony, and show that I have got something, and I'm not just in this to make a number up.
No, I like that. But I think with the EIS, when he's training in Sheffield, I think he does very similar to what you said. Like he will alternate sparring partners, but the other sparring partners, while they're waiting, will spar each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's ideal if that happens, and that would be great. Again, I wouldn't, as long as I'm getting, a good 6 rounds, a good 8 rounds, however many, but coming in and out and only helping the fighter who's fighting and only benefiting for them. It's not something I'll be doing ever again. I've done it now 2 or 3 times, and that's something where I won't be taking part in again. And before I go anywhere, that'll be said and stipulated that that's not something I'm willing to do.
Yeah, that's it. But you've sparred some pretty good fighters before. You sparred Kash Ali, you sparred Dave Allen, Martin Bacoli. I believe you sparred Nathan Gorman before, haven't you, as well?
I've sparred Nathan, sparred Marius Wack. Sparred Fraser when I was down. I'm trying to think of other people. Obviously Simon Vallely. So I've sparred some big, people within the top 10.
Yeah.
And for me, it's. I just think to myself, I'm sparring people. I spar someone week in, week out who's fighting for the English title coming up. I've sparred Nathan, who's fought for the British title, and on top of that, I've sparred Dave Allen, who's ranked, I think, 11th. And then, people like Marius Wack and Kash Ali, who have, I mean, great professionals. So, and I've always held my own. I've always, thought to myself, well, I've never been touched, but I've never been put down. I've never been stopped. I've never, and I think to myself, if I can hold my own against these, and this is back, some of these spars are when I was just an amateur. Some of these spars are when I was just, turning over pro. And so I just think to myself that, there's been plenty of times where I've doubted myself and thought, do I really have it? Will I be able to get to where these are in the next 2-3 years? And then I just sit and think, well, I've sparred people who are in contention for the English and British title, and held me own against them, and I just think to myself, so yeah, why can't I? Why can't I do it?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So, how many fights are you planning on having? Because originally, was it meant to be 5 or 6 this year?
I wanted 6 this year. Listen, I've again, even through lockdown, I've kept myself at around about 115 kilo. I've kept myself fit. I've kept my runs in. I've kept my diet on point. I'm probably sitting in at about 11% body fat. There's not. I've dedicated too much to the sport over the last 4 years to allow something like this to have a slip up, to then have to spend another 10 weeks getting fit to get ready for a fight. Now, give me 2 weeks of sparring, and I'll be ready to fight whenever. And permitting I don't get a cut, permitting nothing happens, I'll fight week in, week out. Give us 10 days to allow my body to rest, and then I'll be ready again. As I say, two weeks of sparring. 3 weeks of sparring, start off, get 4 rounds in, then up that to 6, then up that to 10, and I'll be ready. And then once I'm ready, that'll be me ready for the year. So ideally, I would love that 5. It's due now. There's 6 months left. If I can get a fight by August, that gives us 4 months left in the year. There's going to be 2 or 3 Christmas shows on. With Jaffas, with MTK. Obviously, Matchroom's got the one in October. MTK is going to have one before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So, home or away, for me, as long as Mark accepts the fight, I'm willing to travel. Permitting the money's right, permitting the competitors right. For me, as I say, I'm too committed and too dedicated to have to take 6 weeks to get into a camp, to have to take 10 weeks. As long as don't get a daft injury or a daft cut, I'll be ready to fight every few weeks if need be.
Okay. So what are you looking to do then? Are you looking to be challenging for, say, the English, or for example, in like the next 12 months, for example?
Yeah, that's something Mark would need to work on, and Mark needs to sit down and have a think about and have a talk about. And it's not for me. I just allow Mark to, Mark's got a guide and a pathway he wants me on. The next for Joe Joyce's next fight, when the one of them two, if he retains the British title against Joyce, he's, Dubois is probably then going to step up, and then the British title will be vacated, and then you look at who's sitting at around about between 10 and 15 around. You've got Hughie Fury, you've got Price, Dave Allen, Kash Ali. All these are probably going to be British title, contenders, and then you've got the likes of Bennett and stuff, and Jay McFarlane and stuff who are on the rise, and you've obviously got people who are coming up who are 4-5-0, and so in the next, and then obviously Fraser's going to probably turn over in the next once the Olympics is over and done with, and Solomon may turn over because he hasn't made the Olympics. So you're going to have in the next year to 2 years, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be in line for a British title, and who are highly ranked and who are going to want it. So do I see myself getting there in 2 years? 100%. If I didn't, I wouldn't be committing so much. I wouldn't be in the sport. Does Mark believe I can do that? Again, 100%. I know he does. All I need the correct sparring. I need the correct fights. And as I said, I don't want to run before I can walk. And maybe it's another 2-4 rounders, step it up to 6. I mean, I spar 10 comfortably, but sparring's very, very different. My last fight against Phil Williams, he took us to 4. Was I tired? Yeah. Did I have another 2-3 rounds in us? Definitely. And I proved that I had good fitness, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're too muscle bound for the heavyweight." We've seen Joshua Flag, we've seen this, and until I sparring, as I say, I'm more than happy to spar 10 rounds. I'm more than happy to spar 6-8. So I've done that in sparring. Will that transition over to a fight? Only a fight will tell. It's not something I can answer whether or not So I do want to say I would like to think that I'll be fighting for a British title in the next 2 years. Definitely. English title, if that's something Mark wants us to go for, then of course. I mean, if Simon wins that, it would be great for something like St James's Park next year. Me and Simon, if that would be something Mark would accept. And Simon's he's a great guy. He's a dedicated pro. He's a good pro, and I think he's found his feet as well. I think he let his lifestyle sort of take over what he's boxing a little bit back in the past. But I think now he's found his feet, and personally, I think Simon could even be fighting for a British title in a year or two if he wins this English title against Fabio. Which, if he allows himself to become the best version that he can be, then that's something I think he could definitely beat Fabio from what I've seen. And I think Simon's he's a big hitter as well, which people will underestimate because he's a light, he's light for the heavyweight division. I think people will underestimate, but if you look at science, speed equals power, and he's phenomenal speed. And so English title, great. I'd love to be fighting for that in the next year, but British title within the next 2 years is my main goal.
When you look at the heavyweight division for, say, in and around, because at the minute you're like a prospect at the minute. So, are there any other kind of like prospects you look at right now and think, within the next 12 months, I definitely want you?
To be honest, for me, I'm not one to call people out, but somebody like Kash Ali, if the money was right in the next sort of 6 months, that would be a fight. That would be a fight I'd be willing to have. Somebody from like Bennett, who's just getting to the final, who got beat off Nick Webb in the final of the Golden Contract. Bennett's I think 12-1 now. But I look at who's on the rise. I look at who's up and coming. So you've got Bennett, you've got Webb, and you've got these, and obviously Simon. And I think to myself, these are 34, 35. Some of them are 36-year-old. And I've always doubted myself getting into boxing at 25 and only sort of hitting the age I'm at now at 29. I've always thought to myself, am I too old? And then I look at who's above us and who's where they are and what they're contending for and their age, and I think, you only at this day and age with the science we've got and the nutrition sort of information we've got, the training we've got now, and the way the body sort of is now, you're only hitting your peak at heavyweight, I think, at around about 32, 33.
Mm-hmm.
So I've still got 4 or 5 years before I'm reaching the peak, and then I've still got, you look at the likes of Lucas Brown, who are still fighting, 40-year-old with big fights as well. So I think to myself, is there somebody I would like to fight in the next year as a prospect? Yeah, I mean, as I say, somebody like Kash Ali, but again, I would think this would probably have to be over a 10-rounder. These would want, or even an 8. I couldn't see these want to step down to 6 rounds. So I'd have to. Mark would have to accept the fact that I would have to, because once you've stepped up, you don't look back, you don't come down. So if in a year's time I've just beat sort of maybe somebody who's ranked 14th, I can't look back. I can't move back down to 6 rounds. I can't move back down. So I'd always be pushing forward. So I need to just, you know, progress in the correct manner and make sure that I'm ready for the rounds. I'm ready to keep on rising, because once I've rose to us, you know, there, I wouldn't look back. I'd be wanting to move forward, and I'd be wanting to progress forward. And would I be ready for the next competitor at that level? And would I be ready to jump it up within another 6 weeks? Then yeah, I mean, for me as a fighter, I'd fight anybody. Mark could ring us next week and say, you've been offered 20 grand to fight Nick Webb. Do you want it? And I'd jump into it, you know, at that. And would I beat Nick? No, I'm not saying I would. But at the end of the day, we're both 18 stone men who know how to punch. And I know fine well, if I connect with you, you're going down. And I'm not stupid enough to think if they connect with me, I'm probably going to go down. But we've all got a fighter's chance. So as long as I know I've put 110%, as long as my fitness is there, as long as I can do all the rounds that I need to, if I need to, then definitely it's something that I would be more than willing to do. I'd be more than willing to do that, like I say, tomorrow if I had to. But Mark, as a manager, is the one who's there to guide me correctly. And because, I mean, as I say, you speak to any fighter and say, would you fight Dida? And they'll say, yeah. It's just a nature that, you know, what we have is fight. Not even as fighters, just as proud men. I think anybody would be happy to accept a fight, and especially fighting somebody above them, because for them it's a no-brainer. Like, why? Well, what have I got to lose? You get beat off them. It's like, oh well, you got beat off somebody 10 levels above them, but you beat them, and then it's like, wow, this kid's got something. So as long as it's correct, and I'm in peak shape for that amount of rounds, and I've had the correct sparring, then it's something I'd definitely be willing to do. But as I say, these prospects who have had 7-0, 10-0, these are 4-6 rounds, and I've probably stepped it up to 8, so they're not going to want to look back. So it would be me having to step up to their amount of rounds and get fit enough to fight 8 rounds and work it up correctly.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Lucas Brown. That'd be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas. I speak to Lucas quite regular on Instagram, and he always says, if you're ever over this way, you know, come to Perth. There's 3 heavyweights there, and he's always looking for sparring, and he's always saying, would I be interested in getting a sponsorship and going over for a while and doing some sparring with him? And to be fair, Lucas he's a gentleman. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy, and it would be a fight I'd absolutely love. And I think Lucas is. I think he's always wanted to be over. Obviously, he had a little stint with Ricky Hatton, which didn't work out, and he ended up back over there. But I think Lucas loves the UK and loves fighting over here. And when he was over fighting Dave Allen, I think he thrives off the British atmosphere and the UK sort of atmosphere, and the love we've got for boxing. So it would be a fight that I would love, but again, it would have to be the correct amount of rounds and for the correct amount of money and on the correct show, because I very much doubt Lucas Brown's going to come over to fight at the Dunstan Fed for 3 grand on a Jaffa show. But it's definitely something I would love. As I say, I would. There's nobody that I wouldn't love to fight, but at the same time, it's got to be the correct fight. And I'm not stupid enough to think that I could, you know, beat any of the people at the top 10. But it's something that where do I see myself getting there in the next 2-3 years? 100%, 100%.
Now, when you watch, say, Joshua, Dylan White, Tyson Fury, do you watch it from a boxing fan's perspective, or do you watch it from a fighter's perspective, in the sense of, if I was in this ring, I would do this to you?
I think take Tyson Fury out of the picture, because I think that he's just a different level. In my opinion, he's a 6'10" Floyd Mayweather. He's the way he can switch, his defense, the way he approaches the fight. He's just everything about him he's just psychologically his levels above everybody. He does 12 rounds and he doesn't seem to break a sweat. He's the way he uses his kinetic energy, the way he just freely moves around, the way he uses his shoulders, his hips into punches, everything just is so free, so elusive. The way he switches, he's just a freak of nature in the boxing industry.
Yes.
Phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal. Other than him, the other heavyweight, when I'm watching them, I'm looking at myself and I'm putting myself and what would I do at that point, and where would I have gone there, and what would I have done there, and how would I have approached that fight if I was fighting. But at the same time, I'm watching it as a fan as well, so I'm thinking, that was good and that, but again, it's a very, very different one. As soon as you step up to 10, 12 rounds, your full training changes. For me, at the minute, it's still very, fighting 4 or 6 rounds. It's still just very calm in comparison to their type of training. And you've got to think that these people are on millions per. They've got sponsorships coming out of the bums, and they get massages every week. They get cryotherapy every week. They've got the water chambers, and they're constantly posting, that they're getting the Theragun, they're getting acupuncture, they're getting massages. So they don't feel as tired as I feel in a camp, and they don't. Obviously, it's they've earned to get to that level, and they've earned to be at the top, and they've earned them sponsorships, and they've earned that time to be able to do that. So I look at myself and I think, when I see them in a massage therapist every weekend, I just think, wow, what I'd give to be able to go and get a massage every 4 or 5 days, when you're feeling it. But I definitely watch it as both a fighter and a fan, and I think to myself, when he's coming forward, I would have hired an uppercut in as soon as he's, and when he fought Ruiz the first time, I was watching it thinking, why have you approached that fight like that? But at the same time, you can't, you don't know what they're going through mentally, you don't know what's happened in sparring, you don't know how they feel in themselves, and so you can only think of what you would have done, but you can never. I never criticise a fighter, because it takes a true man, a true warrior, to get in that ring, regardless of what, how you perform. To just step in that ring it's a feat in itself. So I'm not one to criticise somebody and somebody's performance and start to look down and talk down to somebody.
I mean, do you look at, for example, how Joshua approached the first Ruiz fight, and then how he approached the rematch? Because a lot of people, they will look at the rematch and go, that was a boxing masterclass. He done what he was supposed to do, which is win the fight. Other people say he ran away. How would you look on that as a fighter?
Well, you look at Floyd Mayweather, and people can say the man's ran away for the last 15 fights, but he's probably the greatest boxer to walk the grounds in my era, at his weight. And so to when he fought Manny Pacquiao, and he's gone. The bloke's gone 40 fights undefeated. He's just about to fight Manny Pacquiao. He's just about to make probably 250 million, and to walk away from it, for me, that takes a class in itself to know what to do. To box, it's not walking away, it's boxing on the back foot. You still have to be high in that uppercut in when they come in. You still have to be high in that jab 1-2 on the back foot. And boxing on the back foot is hard. When Mark's pressuring me on the pads and I'm moving around on the back foot and you feel the ropes against, and especially when you've got somebody like Ruiz who's just he'll cover up and they'll be on your chest at all times. You've got to be mentally fit. You've got to be physically fit to be walking around that ring and know where the ring is. You're only in a ring around about 18 by 18 foot by the time you your calf's on the ropes. You've got to know where you're going from there. Once your calf's on the back ropes and Ruiz is there, you've got to know, right now I've got to pivot to the left, now I've got to pivot to the right, now I've got to grab him, now I've got to, you've got to know what you're doing that whole fight. And it's physically and mentally, more mentally, so demanding, knowing that you've got somebody 20 stone with his head on your chest wanting to take your head off, and the pressure of the fact that he's already been knocked out and stopped by him and beat off him, to think I have to show these 90,000 people in the 30 or how 300 million watching on TV that I deserve the right to be in here. So people can say he ran away, people can say what they want, but these people who say that have probably never been in a boxing ring and don't know what it's like to run away in an 18 by 18 square with somebody 20 stone with wanting to knock your head off. So yeah, he ran away. No doubt about it. He boxed on the back foot. Was it a master class? Of course it was. He boxed on the back foot because that's what he had to do. He knows he couldn't get into a war with him. He doesn't like fighting in close, Anthony, and that's fine because he can box on the back foot, and he boxed for stupendously on the back foot. And on that night, he was phenomenal, regardless whether he ran away or not. He brought the titles back to England, and he done what he needed to do, and he showed himself after everybody doubted him and said, well, actually, he's not as good as everyone's making out. He showed that he is a great boxer and can box on the back foot and can deal with the pressure that was put onto him for that fight.
So what you're saying is it's about adapting to your opponent, and he knew he couldn't fight on the inside. So what you do is you outbox him, you win the match. That's it.
Of course, I think adapting is probably the most important part of boxing, because if something's not working and you come back to the corner, I mean, the first fight he was going back to the corner and he was going, "What should I do?" He was asking his coach, "What should I do?" He was defeated before you even, third round, you can hear him saying to Rob, what do I need to do? What did he punch us with? What did he catch us with? And Rob's telling him, you walk towards him, hit him with a 1-2. And I think they approached that fight incorrectly as a team. It wasn't just Anthony. You can't just blame the boxer. As a boxer, you only see that man in front of you. You don't see anything else around you. And you need to go back to the corner, and your coach needs to say, listen, it's not working. It's not working. You need to do this. You need to adapt. And we'll always have A, B, and C. If A is not working, we'll then go to B. If B doesn't work, we'll then go to C. If C doesn't work, then look to knock them out. But you've got to be able to adapt your style. It's so important. And Anthony's such a smart person as well. When you hear him in interviews, and he loves to read, and he's not a clumsy, thick man, which a lot of people tarnish boxers with. And he's a very, very intelligent man. So the fact that he adapted his style, he got his weight down, so he had the fitness to do that. Ruiz put his weight up. And you look at talking about Fury. Fury says he's going to put a stone on for the Deontay Wilder fight, because he says, I need that extra weight to lean on. I need that extra weight to hit him with. And he put that stone on, and what did he do? He went and knocked him out. So you've got to know, you've got to know your opponent. It's not just boxing; it's any sport. You know your opponent. You know what you need to do against them. You watch football, you see them week in, week, 3-4 days before they'll be watching. If Newcastle want to say play Chelsea, they'll be sat there in the changing rooms watching Chelsea's last 5 games, how they're set up, and Chelsea will be doing the same against Newcastle, and they'll. It's the same as with boxing. You'll sit and you'll study your opponent and work what they're good at and what they're not good at, and you just adapt to, because you can't always look at YouTube or watch previous boxing fights and think that that's how they're going to approach it, because not necessarily. They might be watching you thinking the same thing, thinking, right, he's good on the front foot, so I need to put him on the back foot. If you're good on the back foot and you're good on the inside and you're good on the front foot, what else have these got? Nothing. So I think having a different style and being able to adapt is probably the most important thing in boxing, from in my opinion, definitely.
Do you give Wilder any more of a chance against Fury than maybe you ever did before?
Do I think? Sorry, you broke up there. What was that question?
Do you think that Deontay Wilder has a good chance of beating Fury, or do you think Fury just has the beating of him?
I can't see anybody beating Fury. For me personally, when I was never. It's funny because I was never really a massive boxing fan. I joined boxing to lose weight. I didn't really, other than the main fights, like when Ricky Hatton fought Mayweather, I bought it, and I was only like maybe 20-year-old when that happened. Or in the main fights, I would get the lads around the house and would watch. But when it come to like Channel 5 boxing, or when it was on Dave, or when it was on Sky Sports every weekend, it wasn't something that I watched. So when I took up boxing, I started just to watch it. I started watching YouTube clips. I started watching, your Lennox Lewis's and stuff, the heavyweights who have got the same stamp as me. And I come across Tyson, and I watched his first sort of few fights, and I thought, what's this bloke about? And I remember him uppercutting himself and thinking, I never knew much about boxing, and I thought to myself, Jesus, why is this bloke tipped to be the next big thing? And then the more I've watched him, and the more I've learned about him, and the more I've become to listen to him and what he's gone through and what he's achieved, is the bloke is just a phenomenal boxer. And for me, brains and hard work will always be power. And he's just, as I say, the way he approaches the fight, he's in your head before he even starts. That when he fought Klitschko pulled out, a couple of times with him. He was in his head before the fight even started. And he's just a master, and he's an absolute, connoisseur of boxing. He knows every single thing about boxing. He's an encyclopedia of the sport. You ask him, anything about anything, and he'd be able to tell you what round he knocked him out in, how he knocked him out, what punch it was, and you hear him speaking. He is, and he's just. So, do I say Deontay Wilder beating him or coming close to him? Not at all. Again, he's a massive puncher, and he's got a puncher's chance. So, out of luck, yeah, he could beat him. But as a boxing side of things, I don't see it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Well, my little boy's kicking off now. So
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. All right, buddy. I appreciate your time. Is there anything to say before we end it?
No, just again to thank you for having us. To Sport Icons, and just hope everyone's staying safe. And it's been a terrible year, not just for boxing but for everyone. I mean, it's just a weird year. So just everybody watching, stay safe, and follow what Boris Johnson's saying. Follow the guidelines. stay safe, and you know, fingers crossed everything goes back to normal soon enough, and we can you know start watching and being back out with our friends, our partners, or whoever you know we want to be out with. But for now, just stay safe and you know do what you need to do, and just you know keep plodding on and keep moving forward and keep your chin up and enjoy this little break of life, because everything's going to go back to normal at high speed soon enough, I think.
Definitely. All right, Steve, I appreciate your time.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having us.
No worries.